I'm very cool in the fall in Tuscany, waiting for you to show up. Here I am. Today's subject is Tip Top 8 Tips for Content Creation. Do you like that? Tip Tops 8 Tips for Content Creation. So actually it has been brought up to my attention that many of you are struggling with creation of content, with creating content for your newsletters, for your social media, for communicating with your clients in whatever way, even in your brochures or in your website even. So I really thought, this is something that I can do, and I do a lot. I actually enjoy content creation, and I've discovered that there's a rhyme and a reason to the way in which I do things, and it wasn't always that way. And the feedback I get is that the content I create is very much in line with what I want to transmit, and people enjoy it, and they not only get the words, but they also get the transmission behind the words that is my intention to convey. So I wanted to share with you 8 tips, 8 tips for content creation. They're very down to earth. Today is very down to earth video. So the first tip, very important to know who you are creating content for. Who is your ideal client? Who is what has been known in our coaching world as the avatar. So the avatar is that person that is your perfect client. And I'm not going to go deep into what an avatar is and how should it be defined and recognized and understood, because that's a whole other video. But you do know, you need to know who is your audience, who are you writing this for, and who is your avatar. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is very related to this one, and it's to be familiar with your client's pain points. So what is this ideal client suffering for? What is it that's not letting him or her sleep at night? And what are their most deep ingrained sorrows and the pain points that they really want to transform in their lives? The third point is even more important, is verify these pain points. Ask your clients, ask them what is it that they want to know, and ask them with open questions and with closed questions. Ask, and verify your assumptions. So point number 1, know who you're creating content for. Point number 2, know who is what are the sorrows, the pain points of your client. Point number 3 is verifying your assumptions and maybe even learning new things by asking your clients. So these 3 are kind of connecting. The fourth one, I'm a little bit challenged with numbers in hands. The fourth one is to make sure you set a time during your program of your timing, of your time management, in even on a weekly basis. Make sure you have either a full day or a half a day, depending upon how much content you need to create, and assign that time only for content creation. For me, that time is Monday mornings. I like to really get into my week, putting my feet in the water a little bit at a time. And so Mondays I turn off the phone, literally I turn off the phone, and my time for content creation. And that's very important, because then you will find that you are much more productive than if you're trying to do things in snippets here and there, and in time being broken up in many bits and pieces. Now, the 5th point is, if you're writing content in more than one platform for your clients, if you have a newsletter, if you have social media, if you have a website, if you have a blog, if you have a brochure, if you're doing a workshop, if you're whatever it is that you're communicating at a set point in time, like this week, make all your content cohesive. To make it cohesive, it doesn't mean that it has to be the same content, but it has to be content that is deeply related to each other and that is supporting each other, and not completely unrelated subjects, because then the people that are following you, and most likely they follow you in more than a platform, in more than one platform, they will be like, what is this? And so it's important to be coherent. And actually, being cohesive throughout all the platforms makes the content creation much more simpler, because you are in that train of thought and you're just creating different ways of speaking about what is it that you want to be sharing with people in different platforms, which therefore have different communication styles. Point number 6. Create content for the social media platforms ahead of time, and also for the newsletter ahead of time. By ahead of time, I mean there's many softwares now out there. You can choose the ones you like best. I like Later. That's the one I like best, but there's many where you can put in your posts for Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter ahead of time. So on Mondays, when I create my content for certain platforms, for sure for for Instagram, and sometimes for Pinterest, and sometimes for my Facebook page, business page, not for my group, which is where I am right now, but I do program certain posts, and it's wonderful because I sit down, I'm rolling, and I'll get to how I'm rolling, and I just go bam, 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 and I create all the posts for the weeks to come. The number seven, very important. So I've done the prior points, which are more practical and down to earth. Now I want to connect with my higher self to make sure that the content that I push through, is really valuable, heartfelt, soul-felt, and that it's not only in line with your pain points, but actually full of light and encouragement and tips that are valuable for you. So in order to get into that space, I have my own ritual, and it's not even always the same ritual, but I do my thing to connect with my higher self before I actually sit down to create the content. I light my candles, I say a short prayer, I close my eyes, or I use Aura Soma and I send love to the world, or whatever it is I do. And then number 8, finally, point number 8, tip number 8 is to sit down and connecting with this space of love, with this space of service, and with this space of trust, because you must trust that what's coming through you, combined with your experience, your intelligence, your own journey, is what you're putting through in the different messages and the different content you create. So these are my 8 tip-top tips for content creation. Quickly rundown: know exactly who your audience is, ask your audience what are their pain points and be familiar with them. Point number 3 is verify your assumptions. So really go asking your audience if these are the pain points, or what is it that they want to know about or hear you talk or write or convey information about. Point number 4 is make time for content creation in a chunk of time as opposed to anywhere at any time. Point number 5 is ensuring that the content is cohesive throughout all of your communication in a one set point in time, like a week. Create content ahead of time. There's lots of softwares that can help you with this, so that then the posts are posted in automatic. Create a ritual, or more than one, but make sure you do a ritual before you actually sit to writing your content or creating the content. It could be also videos. And finally, when you sit down to create the content, make sure that you're connecting with your higher self, that you are in a place of trust, and that you're connecting with your own journey and with the love that you have for your community, and knowing that you're there to serve them. I hope you find this video useful, that the content is useful and valuable. Have a super great day. Shine bright.